So here are my 2 cents. The current situation in Gaza is that Hamas is really pushing the envelope. I think Hamas has a clear understanding of the diplomatic lay of the land. They understand that the US and others are applying pressure on Israel for the deal to happen and to be implemented. And they're using that in order to keep leverage on their side. Last night, 2 bodies of murdered Israeli hostages were returned. Both of them were taken alive on October the 7th and murdered in captivity. The bodies were returned now, leaving 9 Israeli bodies and 2 bodies of international civilians left in Hamas captivity. According to the Israeli assessments, Hamas has access to at least half of those bodies, while of course Hamas claims that it doesn't and uses the gap in between reality and information in order to prolong the situation. The International Stabilization Force has not yet been fielded. There are reports of countries that are willing to send troops, but we have not yet seen anything tangible on the ground. And I think it's clear to everybody that we won't go from stage 1 to 2, 3, and 4 without the International Stabilization Force being in place and without someone willing and capable of actually disarming Hamas. So even though there's a lot of energy in trying to get the situation to last, the peace and ceasefire to last, that isn't reality yet. And as an example for that, we have reports that Israel issued a sharp warning, which was coordinated and approved with the US and even Qatar, indicating to Hamas that Israel knows that there are Hamas fighters underground in tunnels on the Israeli side of the ceasefire line. And Israel warned for the last time that if they don't evacuate themselves, Israel will use military means in order to get them out. Now, the situation for 2 years was that Israel was limited, kind of had its hands tied in terms of tunnel warfare, and it couldn't use the force at its disposal in really to fight Hamas terrorists in their tunnels. Why? Because Hamas had live Israeli hostages. Thankfully, that is not reality anymore. And I wouldn't envy Hamas terrorists in those tunnels if and when Israel makes a systemic decision to go out and start turning those tunnels into actually graves for terrorists. But that is still in the future. In Lebanon, Israel is signaling that it's not happy with the slow pace of development of disarming Hezbollah and with the fact that Hezbollah is in fact trying and succeeding to reestablish its military presence in the south and to rebuild their capabilities in other parts of Lebanon. A few hours ago, Israel eliminated another Hezbollah official, terrorist in southern Lebanon, in the central part of southern Lebanon. He is one of many dozens terrorists that Israel has eliminated in the last year after the ceasefire. And the big picture here is that Hezbollah doesn't want to disarm, no surprise there, and that the Lebanese armed forces are struggling to actually implement it. And what Israel is doing is, I think, preparing the information and diplomatic battlefield, indicating that if it doesn't go the quiet and peaceful way through American negotiations and actions on the ground by the Lebanese authorities, then Israel must do whatever it needs to do in order to make sure that a reality of October 7 doesn't ever materialize and that Hezbollah isn't allowed to establish that type of pressure and presence along the border with Israel. So even though I'm sure all of us would like to move in more peaceful directions, Hamas and Hezbollah have other ideas. And what's different is that Israel isn't playing along with the strategies and intentions of the other side and actually marking red lines on what's acceptable and what not, which tells us that the future will be interesting.